Now, unfortunately, because of the way that um, recording on iPhone works, you're not getting any game sound here. Because every time I record, the game sound is way louder than my voice. So you're not able to hear me, and I'm way more important than the game. So I figured if I have to trade one, I'm going to trade the game audio. So it's a bit of a shame, but this is a little bit of a more intimate episode because of that. Because there's no sound to distract you from my sound. Um, I wanted to talk about a recent experience I had literally like 2 days ago. Um, because it kind of got me um interested in a new thing. And it's never a good thing when I get interested in new things because uh then everything becomes about that one thing, right? So we're hoping it doesn't go down that way. But basically, a good friend of mine plays Magic the Gathering. And you probably have a preconceived notion about Magic, as I did, which is, oh, Magic's like a card game, but you know what I mean when I say like, okay, League of Legends, for example. I've never played League of Legends, and I fully intend to keep it that way. But I have an association with League of Legends, which is that people who play League of Legends are smelly. And I had that same idea about Magic the Gathering. And you know what? Maybe I wasn't wrong, because it just so happens that this same friend who recommended me Magic the Gathering, well, it turns out that he also plays League of Legends. But that's fine. He's not smelly. So, you know, if you're watching this video, that's not the point I'm trying to make. What the point I'm trying to make is we actually played Magic the Gathering together. Um, we went to a board game cafe, they had some Magic decks, and we ran some games. And I had a lot of fun. I can't sugarcoat it. The game is extremely fun. Um, and that kind of has me concerned because with every hobby, there's an upfront cost. And, you know, one of the reasons I really like golf games is because there's no upfront cost to playing Super Stickman Golf 2, but there's a massive, massive upfront cost to playing golf. I'm not saying that I want to golf in real life. I'm not much into the physicality of it as much as just hitting a ball is pretty fun. What I do think in what I do think is important though is that by making NES Open Tournament Golf, Kirby Dream Course, and yes, Super Stickman Golf 2, even PGA Tour, these developers have made golf for poor people because golf is a very expensive hobby to get into. I mean, ignoring the cost of equipment, just the cost to get on the golf course will set you back a month's worth of rent. It's a ridiculously expensive sport, and I don't think there's a good reason for it. Um, Whenever I see golf courses, they're not like full of people. Like we could probably squeeze a few more people in. Are we gatekeeping with the price? Is that the point? Because there's room for more. But people don't want to share the space, right? They want to have like five people on the biggest stretch of green you've seen in your life. I don't know. The point is, after playing Magic that one time, what I've gone ahead and done is I've said, okay, how do I get cards in my hands? Because obviously there's booster packs, but I don't think booster packs are very economic. And I can buy singles, but which singles do I buy, right? You can buy a pre-constructed deck, but those are pretty expensive. I was looking at them, they would run me back like 50 quid, more or less. Um, and then what happens, you know, if I don't want it or if I don't like it? Then it's just £50 for no reason. There's a lot to consider but I'm so glad that I have the hobbies I have, because while it's not necessarily inexpensive to play Smash Brothers, I've already paid a lot of the cost because I've been playing Smash Brothers for most of my life. Not competitively, mind, that came later, but I already had the GameCube adapter, the GameCube controllers. I already had the experience playing the game. I had friends to play the game with. Obtaining those things again for the first time for a new thing is difficult, and some things have an upfront cost. There's an upfront cost to playing Smash Brothers, which is the cost of a GameCube controller, a GameCube adapter if you're playing on Slippy. If you're playing Ultimate, you might want a Switch and the game. That's a pretty big upfront cost compared to Melee. You can play Melee for basically free. You don't even need a GameCube controller. And then it's the price of events. If you want to go to events, there's travel and there's venue fee and stuff, but that's never too much. I think the most I've paid as a venue fee was 40 quid for one of the biggest events that I've been to. Actually, the biggest event that I've been to. So I don't think that's too bad. That didn't set me back too much. So I'm glad, first off, that Smash Brothers has a smaller upfront cost than some things, but at the same time, the upfront cost is present, and I'm just glad that I've paid it. I've even opted into paying more because I play on box, which is more expensive than an OEM, but perhaps less expensive in the long run because OEMs are liable to break and not work forever. And while a box obviously can break, it doesn't have nearly the kind of inconsistency issues that a GameCube controller does. My point is, I've been sold on the game, I've played it, but I feel like it's a forbidden fruit that I can't have. Because to play Magic is to take out a mortgage and empty my bank account. And I don't think I'm prepared to make that commitment. Now, granted, there are formats for people like me. There's Pauper, right, where you're only allowed to play common cards. I know about this stuff. I've been given that talk because obviously my friend who really wants me to play Magic on account of not having that many friends who play it in the first place, obviously he's going to want to sell me that you can play this game for cheap. And I believe him, but I have no idea what I'm doing. And even cheap cards will add up eventually, right? Like, it has the potential to spiral into a bigger thing, which is interesting. I don't feel like I've been in this position before because I've never played a trading card game, but I've also never played a game that has because I play a lot of video games. Like, I'm happy to spend money on a controller that I can play any video game with. But when you buy Magic cards, you can play Magic. And there's many formats of Magic, but you can only play Magic. You can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! With Magic cards. Like, imagine being into trading card games instead of video games. And you have to learn all the rules of all the different games. And you have to get all the cards from all the different games. That seems like it could get very expensive very quickly. When I was a kid in primary school, we used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm not convinced we knew the rules that well. I learned them from playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX DS game. I think it was called Spirit Caller. I learned the rules to Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing that game, but I'm sure there was very many things that I missed when we were playing on the playground, on concrete with cards that we had no idea what they were worth. Most of the time, they were absolutely like random cards just slapped together with no sense or no meaning because the art looked cool or I saw it on the TV show. There were very many probably bad Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that I played because I saw it on the TV show. But I think that's cool. Like, I like the fact that there was a secondary product to the actual game, because even though the TV show only existed to sell me the cards, the TV show was very entertaining and it worked. I bought the cards. I remember playing Beyblades and stuff, all because this is another thing that will drive people absolutely crazy. We used to play Beyblades on the concrete as well. Half the time they wouldn't even hit each other. Like there are so many, because they have these little tips that they spin on, right? There were so many of those that I had that were just shredded from the concrete, which ironically made them pretty decent attack types. Because even if it was like a stamina type tip, it would just be ground down until it was completely flat. So it did work for attack types, and because of the weird like bumps and stuff you would get from just absolutely shredding them on the concrete, they would do weird jumps and stuff, and they would never be quite flat enough to go all the way around the ring in a circle. So there was like some pretty entertaining consequences to that. Um, but yeah, just what an absolute joy Beyblades were. I'm so glad I had those.